Mozart's Clarinet Concerto has accompanied me for over 41 years. I first heard it with wonder as an 11-year-old. An aunt had inquired at her local record store about clarinet music, and they offered her the Mozart or the Brahms. And so Mozart it was, in a Decca World Record Club vinyl edition with Alfred Prince as the soloist and the Vienna Philharmonic. I was allowed to play it on the stereo system in the good room of the family home, where I'd spend the afternoons after school lying on the floor, staring at the ceiling and wondering how Mozart knew what to write next. It remains a good question all these years later. It was the longest piece of music I'd ever heard and seemed like one endless melody from start to finish. For any clarinet player, the opportunity to play the Mozart Concerto is a career highlight, even more so when one has the chance to play it on the original instrument and with wonderfully like-minded colleagues. And it's obvious that Paul Dyer and the musicians of the Brandenburg really love this repertoire and know how to bring it to life. For me, this season with the ABO marks 27 years of playing period clarinet and friendship with Paul Dyer. Even during this time, exciting discoveries have been made about the intended instrument for Mozart's Clarinet Concerto. Already in the first half of the 20th century, scholars had realised that the concerto must have been written for an instrument with an extended lower range, but no one knew for certain what that instrument would look like. There were two obvious possibilities. It might have looked like this regular period clarinet and simply been straight, in which case it would have been very long indeed. Or it may have been in the form of the basset horn with a knee, a box and a brass bell, in which case the instrument would have been rather small and cramped for the player. Well, it turned out that both designs were wrong. In 1992, an American scholar, Pamela Poulin, discovered a concert program in Riga which for the very first time depicted Stadler's actual instrument. I was just about to commission an instrument in the straight design when word of her discovery leaked out over the internet. It was still dial-up at that stage. Following the publication of her work in 1996, I was able to commission an instrument in Holland by Peter van der Poel, and it followed the Riga engraving exactly. Perhaps the greatest surprise of the design was the use of this capped bulb. While the brass bell reflects and amplifies sound, a capped bulb creates a certain amount of back pressure up the instrument. The result is that the tone over the entire compass of the clarinet is made mellower, smoother, and a bit more even. And the extra basset notes at the bottom of the instrument are more blended into the tonal spectrum rather than standing out. The design also harks back to the love clarinet or clarinet d'amore of the middle of the 18th century. Mozart's clarinetist must have really liked the acoustic properties of this design because he had his basset horn redesigned in the same shape rather than the traditional design with the angle that I just showed you earlier. His redesigned basset horn would have actually reached the floor when he played sitting. A little bit of experimentation has shown that when I close this hole with my knee, I can get an extra semitone lower, and there are just a couple of places that I do that in the concerto.